I just don't do much with it.
So next weekend, though, like, so to drop in, what does that entail outside of dropping?
Come by. Supposed to. Is it? There's.
Like, what do we, I mean, like, I didn't get to come last year, so like, but like I was saying, like, you know, do we bring something? Like,
Just come by.
okay.
Maybe something to drink. Something to eat. I mean, it's not dinner, but you know,
Should I leave my kids like in like a parking lot?
if you like.
Yeah, parking lot.
We can put them in the parking lot. Put them in the backyard. Close them up in the laundry room. Whatever works for you.
Is that pure? Oh, it's seconds away. Our clock is slowing down over there, though. Batteries are slowly dying. Like how everybody looked too. I was like, oh, no, Gene's gonna fix it now.
Amy.
I know, I like one of those high dollar clocks. Oh, it's 4 o'clock right now.
It's 4 o'clock.
No, the battery is dying, so it's like 3 minutes behind.
4 o'clock now.
Yep, right this second.
Very good. Very good.
Oh, it's 4:01 now.
Might have been a mistake. That's not it.
Welcome to the Lincolnton Planning Board and Board of Adjustment meeting.
Might have to do that when I get out there. No.
Do you feel pressure, Gene?
Not at all. Like, I don't really care.
I'm glad this has been recorded because for something of like it's gonna fall on Gene's head and like there's gonna be video evidence of it. Oh, nice! There we go. Way to go, Gene.
Hi. I call the Lincolnton Board of Adjustment meeting to order for November, what is today? 19th? 21st. November 21st. Everybody had a chance to look at the minutes.
Yes, sir.
Do I hear a motion to approve the minutes as presented?
So moved.
All in favor?
Aye.
Minutes have been approved as presented. Let me read the official format here. Let the record show that all five, no, they're not. We have 5 members present, including 2 alternates, John Waters and Steve Lackey. Correct?
Correct. Mm-hmm.
Right. We already did the minutes. The Board of Adjustment is a quasi-judicial body. State statute requires that the board base its decision only on testimony given under oath. The board's decision in this matter is final in that they do not go to the city council as a recommendation. Any quasi-judicial decision made by the board that is contrary to your wishes can be appealed to Superior Court. Any decision made by the board requires that 4 of the 5 members be in favor of the motion in order for it to be considered valid. If for any reason there are not 4 votes, then the motion fails. All right. And the first one we're going to listen to today is BOA-7-2023, application from James Ball requesting a variance from section 153.107 R10 district and 153.110 RO district of the Lincolnton UDO.
Anybody wants to speak on that case has to be sworn in, so.
So if you'd like to speak on that case, step forward and be sworn in.
Left hand on the Bible, right hand in the air. Do you swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God?
I do.
Good afternoon, Board. This first item on the agenda is actually a variance for Mr. Ball.
You'll sit down, sir, until your time. He's gonna go through the case first, and then we'll call you up.
Mr. Ball's property is located at 314 South Cedar Street. That's his single-family house. As you can see on the GIS map there, 314 South Cedar, and he also owns a warehouse structure, which is on Church Street, and that address is 336 East Church Street. Current zoning of the property is the single-family portion of the property is zoned R10. The warehouse structure back here in the darker blue color is zoned RO, which is residential office. Total property size is .355 acres. Current use is a single-family dwelling and a warehouse, with adjacent properties being single-family dwellings and warehouse type uses. So Mr. Ball is actually requesting two separate variance requests. The first one is permission to adjust the right side property line. This is a survey of the property as it currently sits, with the house and the building on the same lot. This is the requested survey for the variance. The first one is for the single-family dwelling portion of the property to be altered so that the property line is moved over approximately 1 foot here on the side. You can see where it says NIP, that is new iron pin. So that will be where the new property line will run. And that is being done so that the property line runs along the neighboring fence line, which it's been that way for years. And he wanted to run the property along her fence so it would be on her side of the property. So this is causing the property line to be moved over where the setback will be 9.11 feet from the house instead of the required 10 feet. And it will continue to taper off and follow the fence line along the neighboring properties down to the end of the property here. The second variance request is for a new lot to be created with this building here, which is a warehouse structure, to be located on a lot by itself in the RO district. The minimum lot size typically for lots in that district are 8,000 square feet. In this particular case, it would be .041 acres or about 1,700 square feet. This property was in two lots prior to Mr. Ball purchasing it. I think the previous property owner had incorporated into one lot for tax purposes. So he would like to go back to where the building's on a separate lot. And because it doesn't meet the square footage requirement for minimum lot size, then it would have to, variance would have to be issued by the board. Are there any questions about the survey?
So currently it's one lot.
Currently, it's one lot, just like this. It's basically an L-shaped lot with both structures being on that current property. And the wish is for the house to be on one lot, on the .31 acre lot, with the building being on a .041 acre lot. So it'd be two separate lots. That's the second variance, and the first variance was for the line to be shifted over to run along the fence line. So Miss Wisnett here, the neighbor property owner, her fence would actually be on her property. So I do have some photos of the property. This is looking at the Mr. Ball's house there on South Cedar Street with Miss Wisnett's house there beside it. This is looking from the back of the property back up towards the house, and these red ribbons there with the post are showing the new property boundary, and you can see the fence right in this location. I think I have a better photo of it there. But the red there is the new property line running right on that fence line, so the fence will actually be on Miss Wisnett's property. And you can see the back corner here. That was the first variance request. And the second variance request, you can see the warehouse building here in the back, and basically it would just be carved off into a second property as shown on that survey. And it was previously that way, as I stated, but it was for tax purposes made into one lot. So, any questions about that?
The fence, I mean, it looks like it's a newer fence. I mean, was it installed when there was actual requirements of the 10 feet? So was it already installed on like his property beforehand?
I think the fence has been there for years.
Okay.
Yeah, a number of years.
30 plus.
Yeah. So, and Mr. Ball will be addressing those specifics.
You're just seeding that sliver over to Ms. Wisn't, that's, or is that gonna be part of the little narrow triangle that
Yeah, this little piece here that
has
creates
the
the
fence? Yeah.
yeah.
From the corners where the L-12 is,
Mm-hmm.
is that just gonna be now?
That will become part of Miss Wisnet's property.
That's what I was
Yeah.
thinking, yeah. Okay.
Yeah. That portion right there, if you can see
Yeah,
my cursor,
it's-
where
it's-
you see the hook line,
Yeah.
that's meaning the property would be combined in with Miss
I got you.
Wisnet's.
Gotcha.
Yeah. As far as staff comments, staff feels like the request won't negatively affect the neighborhood in any way, that it should be consistent with the spirit, purpose, and intent of the ordinance. There will actually be no physical changes to the property, only property line adjustments. All building locations and use of the property would remain the same. And the applicant is here to address the 4 findings of fact, which they're on your screen. And I think we spoke to this before the meeting, but there will have to be 2 different motions since he's requesting 2 separate variances. So, Mr. Ball?
The fence line was probably done 30 years ago or 30 plus years ago. And the reason it was placed where it is, there's two trees there. So instead of, putting up them, they moved it over. And then back at that time, it was, neighbors worked together. And I wanted to do the same way with Swiss at my neighbor. So we just made the fence line, or asked to make the fence line the line.
Okay.
That works. Good.
Nope.
Yeah, my question is, I mean, you bought this piece of property and it was already one parcel, and you want to now split it back up.
2 parcels.
It was,
I bought it from Dr. John Cloninger III, and he owned another property there, and he had them all on separate, which was a warehouse to Lincoln Flour Company. Plus, all the buildings down there are kind of stuck together.
okay.
So that was a separate lot, and then when I bought it, he was going to keep that, and I convinced him I'd like to have a garage to put my truck in, so we put it in one deed.
Okay.
And so my family's looking at some point maybe to downsize and go into a condominium, so I'd like the garage to have a truck and place to store things.
Got where I was going. I appreciate it.
Anyone else have any questions, Mr. Ball? All right, I thank you very much.
Okay, thank you.
All right, is that all we're going to speak on it? Do we have any
No question.
board questions, discussion?
I don't, no.
Do I hear a motion as concerns the first?
Do we have to read each finding effect? Gene, don't we have to do that? Yeah, we have to do it through each finding effect.
The first one would be to
But-
request to adjust the property line between the neighbors,
Right.
fence line.
And then, so you'll make a motion on each finding of fact, and then a motion either to approve or to deny.
So we're going to address the first one first, the sliver that's the fence line and.
Correct.
Yeah.
Okay. Number 1, unnecessary hardship would result from the strict application of the ordinance. It shall not be necessary to demonstrate that in the absence of the variance, no reasonable use can be made of the property. Do I hear a motion to approve?
So moved.
All in favor?
Aye.
All right. Number 2, the hardship results from conditions that are peculiar to the property, such as location, size, or topography. Hardships resulting from personal circumstances, as well as hardships resulting from conditions that are common to the neighborhood or the general public, may not be the basis for granting a variance. Do I hear a motion to approve number 2?
Motion to approve.
All in favor?
Aye.
All right. Number 3, the hardship did not result from actions taken by the applicant or the property owner, the act of purchasing property with knowledge that circumstances exist that may justify the granting of a variance shall not be regarded as a self-created hardship. Do I hear a motion to approve number 3?
Motion to approve.
All in favor?
Aye.
Number 4, the requested variance is consistent with the spirit, purpose, and intent of the ordinance such that public safety is secured and substantial justice is achieved. Do I hear a motion to approve number 4? All in favor?
Aye.
Now, do we need to do it as an entire entity?
Now you do a motion, and because you voted yes, or you were in the affirmative for all four, you don't really have a choice except to make a motion to approve.
So
You,
I'll make a motion.
well, you can't make the motion.
Yeah. I'll make a motion for approval with staff recommendations.
All in favor?
Aye.
All right. The second variance that we'll approach is changing,
The second one was.
Request to create
request
a
to-
new lot
the
for
new-
the
right,
warehouse
right.
building.
yeah. All right. Unnecessary hardship. Number 1, unnecessary hardship would result from the strict application of the ordinance. It shall not be necessary to demonstrate that in the absence of the variance, no reasonable use can be made of the property. Do I hear a motion to approve?
So moved.
All in favor?
Aye.
Number 2, the hardship results from conditions that are peculiar to the property, such as location, size, or topography. Hardships resulting from personal circumstances, as well as hardships resulting from conditions that are common to the neighborhood or the general public, may not be the basis for granting a variance. Do I hear a motion to approve?
Motion to approve.
All in favor?
Aye.
The hardship did not result from actions taken by the applicant or the property owner, the act of purchasing property with knowledge that circumstances exist that may justify the granting of a variance shall not be regarded as a self-created hardship. Do I hear a motion to approve?
Motion to approve.
All in favor?
Aye.
Number 4, the requested variance is consistent with the spirit, purpose, and intent of the ordinance such that public safety is secured and substantial justice is achieved. Do I hear a motion to approve? All in favor?
Aye.
All right.
Ask for a motion.
Now we need a motion to approve the,
Yeah, I'll make a motion to approve with staff recommendations.
all in favor?
Aye.
All right, Mr. Ball, I think you are set up. All right. Number 2. Number 2 will be BOA-8-2023, application from M&B Property Holding, LLC, requesting a variance of section 153.050 lot to abut a dedicated street of the Lincolnton UDO. Does anybody wish to speak on this? Come forward and get sworn in.
You have to get sworn in. Alright, left hand on the Bible, right hand on the Bible. Do you swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God? I do.
This is a variance request from M&B Property Holdings. They own property at 117 Chavis Lane. As you can see on the map here, this is the property with the 3 manufactured homes located on it. Chavis Lane is a small private drive running back to those properties. Current zoning of the property is residential multifamily. It's 0.54 acres in size. The current use of the property is 3 single-wide manufactured homes, which is considered a manufactured home park as defined in our Unified Development Ordinance. And the adjacent properties are a mixture of single-family and 2-family dwellings. And M&B Holdings is requesting this variance. As you can see, Chavis Lane, this gray area is an easement that runs back to the property. The UDO requires that no lot shall be created or used for anything other than a single-family dwelling unless it has 35 foot of road frontage. Because he doesn't have 35 foot of dedicated street road frontage on Chavis Lane, he could potentially do 1 single-family house back here, but his request is to remove the 3 manufactured homes and to build a duplex, which is a permitted use in that district. He does have, currently Chavis Lane is a 10-foot easement. He has purchased the property here at 1571 South Aspen Street, so he is the owner of both structures. However, there's not enough room in there to put 35 foot of road frontage between the house and the property line. So his only recourse to put a duplex there is to ask for the variance that he be allowed to do that without having a 35 foot of road frontage. Any questions there on the ordinance requirements? There's the aerial photo of the property. As you can see, the single-family house at 1571 South Aspen Street, and then the 3 manufactured homes located there on Chavis Lane.
How much, how wide can he make that? Is there, what would be the maximum?
He has to have a 10-foot setback from the, if there's a new property line created, he'd have to have a 10-foot setback off the house. I'm thinking he probably wouldn't have more than 10 or 15 feet wide there to create that.
Thank you.
Here are some current photos. This is showing Chavis Lane. As you can see, it's just a gravel, basically a driveway going back into the site. This is looking at it from both South Aspen Street. You can see the corner of the South Aspen Street house. And then this back fence is where the property line for Chavis, or for the manufactured home park, starts. And then this is looking back from the manufactured home park towards South Aspen Street.
And this, I understand, we're looking at this in the sense because it is approved. It's in an area where he could put duplexes. Behind there, it's just that 35 foot
Right.
that he needs off of the home.
If the 35 foot was there, he could build 1 duplex on the property.
Okay.
Yes, but because he doesn't have the 35 foot of road frontage, he's limited only to a single family dwelling per the ordinance.
And then same thing would be on the other side. So to remove the structure, I mean, that's still not 35 feet either, if that was to connect to the backside, I believe, is what it looks like. So that's really his only recourse at this point in time.
For him to put a duplex there, this would be his only recourse. Yes.
Okay.
He doesn't have enough room between the house and the property line to create 35 foot at all.
But he could do it if he was putting a single family home back
You can
there.
have a single family home on a lot of record if it has a 12-foot easement to it.
Okay.
So he could increase the easement. It's only 10 foot now, but he could increase it to 12 feet to do 1 single family house. And here are some additional photos. This is the current state of the property with the 3 manufactured homes on it. Those would all be removed, and then he proposes that this duplex be constructed there, showing the setbacks on there, which would meet all the setback requirements of that district, and meet all the requirements as far as use, but just would not have the 35 foot of road frontage. Are there any questions about the site itself? I would point out that because this is a licensed manufactured home park, he could have the option of removing the mobile homes and replacing the mobile homes in there. So he could keep the 3 mobile homes in there if he wanted to and replace them with newer models.
And there wouldn't have to be any variance granted for that.
I think it's a licensed mobile home park.
Gotcha.
Yeah. So, as far as staff comments, the applicant request we don't feel would be a negative in any way. Should be consistent with the spirit, purpose, and intent of the ordinance. As I stated before, the removal of the 3 manufactured homes, they could be replaced and continue the mobile home park. He prefers to do it with removing those and doing it with a 2-family dwelling instead. And you can see the 4 findings there and some of his responses from the application, but he is here to address that if you have any questions for him.
Okay. All right.
I don't really have any further comments than what others been said. I mean, our goal is we remodeled the house in front of it, and we're obviously anywhere we invest, we want to make it nice for the people that live there. And we have a good relationship with the guy that we bought it from, and I think that property could be a very nice place for somebody and help elevate the area. I know some other investors that have done duplexes just right down the street, so it's definitely an up and coming area, and I feel like this would be a good addition to that area as well.
Well, thank you so much. Anybody have any questions?
No, I
Any
don't.
more okay, thanks.
Okay.
And there are your 4 findings for the case.
What's the real purpose of the 35-foot? What's behind that?
Just so that each lot would actually be on a dedicated street, so there would be no landlocked parcels of land.
Right. But
Otherwise-
35 feet part has to do with fire and rescue and that type of thing.
Well, it would allow for access, more access. I guess there's not a real number. I'm sure other ordinances in other places vary, but 35 foot was what was in our ordinance from 1990 on, and that's what most people have met without a variance.
I would imagine these lots were set up way before 1990.
Yes.
Yeah, I think that's what it says even right there. It says in it like it was before 1990,
Yeah.
before there was an actual.
Yeah, those lots were
Yeah.
all created prior to 1990 when the UDO was placed.
All right.
I guess I do have, could we request that the driveway be as wide as possible? So in other words, what we're hearing is 10 to 15 foot. Could we request that whatever is available to make it as wide as possible, so that it's not a 10 foot, it could be a 12 or 15 foot, depending on the ability to meet those guidelines. And the only reason I say that is because of, access for emergency vehicles and that sort of thing. And it wouldn't be more than a couple feet, the way I understand.
Right, but looking at this picture right here, there's probably, 2 feet, you think?
Could be.
Yeah. I mean, it goes up to the butts up to the fence. I believe we go to Mark and
You want to see the
yeah, if you go back, right there where you see the fence. So, I think to your point is could it be required that if we grant the variance that we make the driveway's got to be as wide as up to that fence?
I mean, you could potentially do that. I don't know that we could actually put a condition on there, but that's
Yeah.
something you could,
Would- I mean,
request that it be
would-
done.
You can request that the easement be larger, but the driveway doesn't,
They're gonna get through there no matter what.
looking at it, if need be, there would be room for 2 vehicles to pass, they just both wouldn't be on the driveway, somebody.
I think there's adequate room to get a fire vehicle back there, emergency vehicle to get back
Okay.
there.
I don't know that.
He's gonna have to do a new easement anyhow, because he owns both lots, but he might not own both lots in the future. So that would be one.
I mean, you could request the easement to be larger than 10 feet. That's what it currently is, since he owns the property in front. But it would be only for easement purposes.
Oh, okay.
Well, would we make a request that it, with approval, that the easement be enlarged as much as possible?
Just to
As
the
they're-
maximum, so that
as they're-
And then-
for health and safety issues.
How would we go about that? For us to have a number for that. Because we don't know really how much space there is.
I would just say maximum
If you had a
allowable.
single-family dwelling back there, he'd be required a 2 foot additional easement, 12-foot easement.
Okay, so an additional
12
2
foot
feet.
would be-
Okay.
Yeah.
And is that possible? I don't know.
If you want to come up here and speak, it's your property. You know it better than any of us, right?
Yeah, so
He owns both lots, now's the time to do it.
we've already done some work to that road. We had repaired it for Mr. Edwards. So we had some grading work done, some other things, and then you can see we've had all that brush cut back as well to widen it to help for the same reason
Right.
if people need to get in and out. I don't really know without a pretty big expense of taking down all those, bushes, trees, whatever. We may be able to make it a little larger, but as far as
But I think the question is, when you're, 'cause I think you're gonna have to redo your
They have
deeds
to redo
and
the
and whatnot.
easement.
Redo the
Even though he
easement,
owns both lots.
when you do that, just make the easement 12 foot instead of 10 foot and.
yeah, that's no problem at all.
That way, just so in the future, there's that extra little bit of room that,
Yeah,
So you don't have to come
that's no
back
problem.
for it.
Right.
If we go ahead and make that condition right now, correct?
Make it a condition that he has to redo the easement and record it. So
It's
proper
12.
easement recorded, minimum 12 foot.
And we wouldn't issue a permit unless the 12-foot easement's recorded.
Yep, no problem.
Yeah, I'm good with that.
So then we'll do when we get to that point, it's approval with the condition of a 12-foot easement.
Yeah.
Is that how you want it worded?
Yeah, because the issue is if he doesn't own both properties later on, he doesn't have a 12-foot easement.
Gotcha. Thank you, sir.
No guarantee the previous owner's gonna do it, or subsequent owners.
Subsequent owner, yeah.
Okay.
I think that's a good compromise.
No, that's good. I mean, good point.
Yeah. And well, he doesn't have to ask anybody but himself. And it's
Yeah.
basically just gonna, because he owns two.
Yeah.
Right.
It's simple, but
It'll-
Now it's
require
time
it
to
now.
do it.
Okay.
Exactly.
You want to give me back my cheat sheet?
Yes.
I haven't got that all memorized yet.
You're right.
Come on now.
Another 10 or 12 times I might.
There we go.
All right.
Well, let me get that out of the way. Well, there.
So in regards to BOA-8-2023, number one, unnecessary hardship would result from the strict application of the ordinance. It shall not be necessary to demonstrate that in the absence of the variance, no reasonable use can be made of the property. Do I hear a motion?
So moved.
All in favor?
Aye.
Number two, the hardship results from conditions that are peculiar to the property, such as location, size, or topography. Hardships resulting from personal circumstances, as well as hardships resulting from conditions that are common to the neighborhood or the general public, may not be the basis for granting a variance. Do I hear a motion to approve?
Motion to approve.
All in favor?
Aye.
Number three, the hardship did not result from actions taken by the applicant or the property owner. The act of purchasing property with knowledge that circumstances exist that may justify the granting of a variance shall not be regarded as a self-created hardship. Do I hear a motion to approve?
Motion to approve.
All in favor?
Aye.
Number four, the requested variance is consistent with the spirit, purpose, and intent of the ordinance such that public safety is secured and substantial justice is achieved. Do I hear a motion to approve?
Motion to approve.
All in favor?
Aye.
All right, do I hear a motion to approve the request with the
Staff recommendations and with the easement increase.
increase to 12 feet?
12 foot, bump it to 12 foot.
All in favor?
Aye.
All right. You're good to go.
I made the motion. Sorry. We just both talked through it at the same time.
Very good.
All right. I'm looking for it now. Number three, now we'll hear BOA-9-2023, application from Keith Hefner Construction Incorporated, requesting a variance to section 153.107, front setback requirements of the Lincolnton UDO. Anybody who'd like to speak to that, please come forward and be sworn in. Here we go.
I do mine in a different setup, so this is going to be a little fun for a minute. All right, let's undo that. Jean, will you get me started over here?
Yeah, if it's top right corner slideshow.
Okay. Yeah, I do mine in a completely different format. Sorry, guys. All right. So today we have, as Greg mentioned, we have the variance for 0.41 acres at 607 West Main Street Extension in the R10 district. This is a variance for the actual setback. He is requesting a setback of 3 feet. In October, the owner of the property was granted a single-family residential permit for new construction. The front setbacks for a single-family dwelling in the R10 district are 35 feet from the edge of the street right-of-way. However, section 153.055 allows relief if the average setback of the existing buildings within 100 feet are less than a minimum required depth. Typically, this would allow the homes to be in line with one another, except there is a minimum distance of the 15 feet from the edge of the street right away. At that time, the owner felt that 25 feet would be sufficient, as it would place the home approximately 64 feet from the edge of the road. Here is the street view looking down to this property. It wasn't until the footing inspection by Lincoln County that they were made aware of soil issues. The report noted footing is full of water, possibly underground spring, will need engineered soil test. The applicant noted that it was the rear footing, and you can see where they had started those, and was advised to move the structure forward on the lot, and there was a copy of that report in your packets. Upon that discovery, the applicant applied for a variance requesting a setback of 3 feet. Here's what we have facing Main Street Extension. You can see the topographies there. All right. So here I have photos of the neighboring properties. This is just a little further to the west there. And if you remember from the case last month, although the street itself there on West Main Street Extension is only 17 feet wide, it does observe a 90-foot right-of-way. So we did some digging into that. That right-of-way actually matches the right-of-way for Riverside Drive and East Main Street. And it actually exceeds the right-of-way for North Aspen Street. So it's an unusually large right-of-way for a neighborhood street. And actually, NC DOT only requires 45 feet for local subdivision roads. Collector roads are 50 feet. 5-lane highways require 80 feet. So this is abnormally large for that area. We did also inquire about the process of changing the right-of-way width, but it would require each parcel to be resurveyed all through there. But you can see here, most of the existing homes on this side of the street are actually on or over the right-of-way line. Despite that, they are not sitting on the road. You have quite some distance, even though these lines are further back. And these are the measurements showing the right-of-way distance and from the center of the road to the front porch. So it is, even though the 3 feet are what's being requested, is quite a bit back from there. And to make that a little easier to see, we did go ahead and place it here. So you can see how much frontage this place has. Let's see. And you can see here, it positions it quite a bit back from the neighboring property, further back than the existing homes in the area, and approximately 39 feet from the edge of the street itself. Did you have any questions for me at the moment?
And by moving that forward, that would mitigate the water issue. Is that correct? That would no longer be the issue of the spring or whatever is there.
I believe that. Yeah, that's what the report indicated, that moving it forward. He may have more information on that, but at the time, that was what I was given.
Okay.
But it's only set back from on the front, correct?
It's just the front setback.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Which is further back than all the other homes.
Yeah, it's quite a bit back, and I can pull up GIS if you guys need to see anything there. Did you want to hear anything from him?
Do you have any great questions for me? I'll be glad to answer.
I do not.
Anybody?
Can anyone ask a question?
If you would like to sign up and be sworn in, yes.
You come over here.
Who shall I go to?
To me. If you'll just write down your name and your address, and then I'll swear you in. Thank you, Ms. Holloway. If you place your left hand on the Bible and raise your right hand, do you swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth? so help you
Absolutely.
God? Yes.
Shall I go over here?
Yes, ma'am.
Good afternoon. My name is Teresa Holloway, and my family lives behind the property that you're referring to, on the back end of, over the branch, on the other end of the street, West Main Street, I think it is. I'd like to know how far this structure is going to be placed near the branch. Is it going to cause close by vicinity where it would be eroded, perhaps if you've got water, seepage like a spring under the property? Is it going to be anywhere close to the branch?
We wouldn't know that information. My assumption is you would be building and you would have to have all that inspected and it had to be approved.
We're actually moving it further away from the branch.
Okay.
Because it's at the back of the property, we're moving it forward.
Okay. What is it? I'd like to see where you're talking about.
I just use yours for that.
Oh.
For the findings of
Oh, okay. I'll let you pull that up.
Yeah. Slide right in here, ma'am. So we're actually pushing that forward, so you're quite a bit back
Okay, so the
from that
branch
property
is
line.
right here. Is it right? Is that what we're talking
It's
about?
further back, yes.
Okay.
Yeah, I can pull up GIS if you would like.
I think that'd be helpful.
Okay.
Because everyone who's directly would affect this, because we all got a letter, they're all concerned about how close this is going to be, where it would be, something that's going to interfere with the waterway, which we do not want.
I'm sure he doesn't want that either because that would affect his building.
Okay, so what we are looking at is here.
Mm-hmm.
It's gonna be more this area, so you've got quite a bit. Let's go to okay. Mark, where would be the best place to show?
I'm not sure it shows that branch. I don't
Yeah.
think it's even a map branch.
No.
But it's actually on the property.
If you could just show me
Yeah.
with the diagram, which one of the property that you're working on?
It's
So
this
you're trying
property.
it's gonna be probably in the middle is where you're gonna put the structure?
No, it's only
No.
going to be 3 feet
3
from
feet from
the.
there, so that's
Yes.
Being pushed further away from the branch.
Okay.
Yes.
All right, well,
And then again, just so you can see. I mean, it's quite far from that. And then if I go. It was originally here, and it's being moved forward. So your branches.
further back in here.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay,
Mm-hmm.
all
It's
right.
behind that fence. So you've got quite an area to work with. And he's proposing to move it forward, not any closer to the
Okay,
branch
'cause,
itself.
with all this brush and the trees and things are just like a privacy. We want to keep that.
And they are. I mean, this is just, the only thing we are voting on today is moving it forward on this lot.
So what is the zoning thing you're changing? What is it going to become with the zoning thing that you're?
So this is the notification that we were having a hearing today,
Yeah.
because they are applying for a variance, because the setback should be further back.
Okay.
And they're proposing to move it closer to the street.
And it's just going to be one dwelling built there for one single family?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay.
Because
These are questions that the people
because
have asked me to inquire about. What?
Because the right of way is so unusually large for that small road.
Yes.
For whatever reason, they went in, 90 feet or something? They set it back, but apparently there's water, so they're moving it forward, and all they're asking for is a variance on that 90-foot setback from the middle of the road, so they're just moving it up to get it away from that water source on the back.
There's a
corner.
lot of water source springs affecting a lot of the properties who are just back there that are coming up around the houses that dwell there, the people that live there. A lot of springs under the ground.
And that's why he's wanting to move it forward,
Okay.
to avoid that.
All right.
Yes, ma'am.
So I'll just let them know.
Yeah.
Thank you for your time.
Oh, you're very welcome.
I can't remember, but did the county, I don't know, soil erosion folks, did they have any recommendations of how to deal with the water?
Just move it forward.
So I've had no contact
Oh, it was just building inspections.
The building inspector's the only one I had out there. He said if I could move it forward, then
Okay.
Typically, or soil and erosion don't get involved until you're disturbing quite a big area.
Okay.
yeah, all they're worried about is my silt fence being up, which you see I have. Retreated.
Have any questions for
Any more
Keith?
questions for anybody?
No.
All right. Well, let's run through BOA -9-2023, number 1. Unnecessary hardship was result from the strict application of the ordinance. It shall not be necessary to demonstrate that in the absence of the variance, no reasonable use can be made of the property. Do I hear a motion to approve or not?
So moved.
All in favor? Aye. Number 2, the hardship results from conditions that are peculiar to the property, such as location, size, or topography. Hardships resulting from personal circumstances, as well as hardships resulting from conditions that are common to the neighborhood or the general public, may not be the basis for granting a variance. Do I hear a motion to approve?
Motion to approve.
All in favor?
Aye.
Number 3, the hardship did not result from actions taken by the applicant or the property owner. The act of purchasing property with knowledge that circumstances exist that may justify the granting of a variance shall not be regarded as a self-created hardship. Do I hear a motion to approve?
Motion to approve.
All in favor?
Aye.
Number 4, the requested variance is consistent with the spirit, purpose, and intent of the ordinance such that public safety is secured and substantial justice is achieved. Do I hear a motion to approve?
Motion to approve.
All in favor?
Aye.
All right. Do I hear a motion to approve BOA -9-2023 with staff recommendations?
Make a motion to approve staff recommendations.
All in favor?
Aye.
So moved. All right. I think. Yep. Nope. Oh, that's yours. I think we're all done. Do I hear a motion to adjourn the Board of Adjustment meeting?
Motion to adjourn.
All in favor?
Aye. All right. Whew. You tired now?
Earned my money today.
Yeah, buddy. I'll call the planning board meeting to order for November 21st, 2023. I'll ask the board to direct their attention to the minutes of the previous meeting and entertain a motion to approve.
So moved.
I have a motion. All in favor?
Aye.
All right. I will now open the public hearing, and we'll go to our first planning board case, which is CZ-11-2023. Application from Chris Brogdon requesting a conditional district rezoning of .731 acres located at 300 North Poplar, PID 53652, from residential office to central business. And it's yours, Gene.
Thank you. So this is currently rezoned residential office, and he is proposing to rezone it to central business conditional use, or conditional district, sorry. The current use is there's a warehouse used for storage, and it's on a large green, with a large green space. His proposed use would be a multi-use gathering space that would include outdoor dining, retail, and office. This is just a map of the zoning in that area. All the dark blue is residential office. All the pink is central business. So you can see, they're very close. This is just an aerial showing the lot. The rail trail runs along here. First Federal Park is catty corner across the street from this lot. Just give you a minute to look at that. This is just a street view showing the same property. And then this is just from First Federal Park looking towards the property. And then this is Pine Street looking towards the property. It's a crossover here. This is a site plan showing what he proposes. This is a .731 acre lot, as I said, for the proposed mixed use of the existing building for possible retail, office space, and dining. He would like to include an area along here for food trucks. There would be an area with fire pits, an area with picnic tables for outdoor dining. Central Business District does not require off-street parking, and so there are currently along North Poplar Street about 15 spaces that would be available to anybody that visited the area. Any questions about the site plan before I move to the next slide? This is just a visual showing what it would look like. So currently, the land use plan shows this property in the mixed-use residential commercial planning area. These are planning areas in select older portions of the city where true urban villages consisting of high-density residential uses, both single and multifamily, and associated small-scale and pedestrian-oriented offices and retail uses may be located. The thrust behind these planning areas is to create areas in which persons are able to both live, work, and shop. They are designed to emulate development patterns from the early and mid portions of the 20th century when reliance upon the automobile was not paramount. So it's kind of an appropriate area for this. So we do feel like the change in zoning from residential office to central business is consistent with the land use plan. Staff comments and conditions of approval would be that the driveway needs to be 24 foot with a 15-foot asphalt or concrete apron. Temporary food trucks only. We wouldn't have a truck that sits up there and never leaves. Public Works would require a driveway permit, and if they obtained rollout bins after January 2024, they would need to purchase those bins. Soil and erosion. Their comment was that if less than 0.4 acres are disturbed, the applicant only needs a single lot permit. If he disturbs more than 20,000 square feet, he would need to submit a soil and erosion plan to Lincoln County. And none of the other departments had any comments. They were all good with the plan. These are your, as you know, your statements of consistency and reasonableness. We do feel that it's consistent with the land use plan goal to promote downtown Lincolnton as the county's foremost and unique retail, service, cultural, governmental, and mixed-use residential hub. We feel it's reasonable because of the strategies outlined in the plan is to work with landlords of vacant and underutilized commercial buildings to develop strategies for adapted reuse, including the possibility of mixed commercial residential use. If you chose to deny it, you could say that even though it's consistent with the land use plan, the denial of the proposed amendment, or it's not desirable in the area. Do you have any questions for me about this one?
You said there were 15 parking spaces
On-street parking.
On street.
Along Poplar Street, we counted. That's one of the things we did at the staff review committee, is we actually pulled it up and looked and counted how many spaces would be available. And there's more parking in the area, but those are adjacent to that property on Poplar Street.
So that would be this property, and then the residential. There's a house, I think, there.
There's not a house there. There's a house behind it and a house beside it.
And so when you counted those spaces, did you count those spaces?
For the
parking.
Did I count the parking for the homes? We did not, because the homes have driveways.
Got it. Okay, thank you.
And the applicant's here. Would you like to speak, Chris?
Nothing specific. I mean, I'll be glad to answer any questions, but I think Gene covered everything.
Does anybody
I had in mind, but
from the board?
answer any questions if anybody has any.
We're good. I appreciate it.
Staff recommends the following actions: to recommend approval of the rezoning of the property from residential office to central business, approval of the statement of consistency for approval of the rezoning request, and that the zoning would be effective upon receipt of the signed conditions of approval from the applicant.
All right. Is there anyone else who would like to speak? All right. Nope. Then we will go to discussion by the board only. Anything discussion-wise from the board?
It looks positive to me. I mean, in that location and with that kind of development.
Yeah, and as we're doing the First Federal, like expanding that and putting, to have a stage and actually have a place where we can get, people can get food and, go back and forth. It'd also be very welcome to be on here at the splash pad.
Right.
To be able to get some food, outside of walking up the big hill with the vittles. I'm too fat to do that. It's terrible.
That's why you're walking.
Yeah, it should be. All right, then if that is it for board discussion, then I'll close the hearing. I'll entertain a motion to either approve with staff recommendations or for denial. May I hear a motion?
I make a motion to approve with staff recommendations.
A motion to approve with staff recommendation. All in favor? Aye. Motion is approved. All right, we will go on to our next hearing, which is CZ-12-2023, application from John Sullivan requesting a conditional district rezoning of .627 acres on Startown PID 94076 from neighborhood business to general manufacturing commercial. It is yours, Gene.
Okay. So as you can see, this is a zoning map. It's an aerial, and it shows This dark turquoise is residential, but these brown areas are already zoned neighborhood business, so they've already been rezoned for commercial. They were, at the time, rezoned as a conditional use permit, and we no longer do those. So anything that happens on this vacant lot that he's looking to purchase needs to be rezoned. So his proposed use for this would be a deer processing facility. And its current zoning is neighborhood business conditional use, and he's proposing to do it general manufacturing conditional district, which this green right here down the road from it is already general manufacturing. This is Bean Brothers Hardware and the lot that they have beside that, and then there's a gas station here on the corner. This is just an aerial showing the same vacant lot. There's a dance studio next door, a house or two houses, and then the gas station, and then Bean Brothers. This is just a street view of the lot. You can see the zoning sign. You can see where the red flags are. That's where that lot starts. And then this is just the dance studio next door and the residential houses across the street. And we did not get any calls from any concerned neighbors about this property. This is the site plan for the property. It's 0.627 acres. 5 spaces are required by the Unified Development Ordinance. However, he's showing here on the plan 9 parking spaces with a 5-foot concrete walk by the parking area. This little brown square, he's going to do a 20 by 30 building, and then the bluish purplish square is a 16 by 32 foot refrigerated cooler. He's going to put beside the dance studio an 8-foot tall screening fence on the north side, and then the rest of the fencing would be 6 foot along the east and the south. The green, or the right here, would be a dumpster area with an enclosure around that as well. The land use plan already has this in the neighborhood business corridor, which is found along major highways leading into and out of Lincolnton. Its purpose is to accommodate neighborhood-oriented planned business areas. So we do feel like the proposed change in zoning from neighborhood business conditional use to GMC conditional district is consistent with the land use plan. Staff comments and conditions of approval. The planning department just wants to make sure that the street landscaping and the screening meet the UDO requirements, which on the plan they do. The fire marshal said that the site plan currently meets Appendix D, so he was happy with that. NCDOT would require a driveway permit. City water and sewer, they would require a water tap, and soil erosion stated they need a copy of an erosion control plan and a copy of the driveway permit from NCDOT. The proposed statement of consistencies, we do feel like it's consistent with the land use plan, and strategies from the land use plan encourage neighborhood-friendly types of new commercial development in residential neighborhoods. Any such development should be small in scale, not generate a lot of customer or vehicular traffic, not be open for extended hours, and be aesthetically congruent with its surroundings. Such usage shall be subject to conditional rezoning. And so we felt like it's reasonable and that it follows the strategies outlined in the land use plan. If you chose to deny it, it would just be that while it is consistent, you don't view it as desirable in the area. So staff does recommend approving the rezoning of the property from neighborhood business conditional use to GMC conditional district, approving the statement of consistency for approval of the rezoning, and that, of course, the zoning would be effective upon receipt of signed conditions of approval. Do you have any questions for me?
I do, because whenever you said that you've got stuff from the city and they didn't have, like for the water tap, steer processing, so is there a drain, and is the city okay with the blood?
They would build a septic tank on that property.
Okay, so that's where all the runoff would go into, is the septic tank instead of it going back into the city.
Would that fall under?
David is here. Ledford, he's the landscaped architect that did the site plan, and I think he could speak to those questions.
Back again. A glutton for punishment.
Pull that up.
I'm trying. Let's get rid of that. That's comments. I don't want to do that. It didn't download like it normally does. I'm sorry, David.
Okay.
Are we good there?
Yeah, that's fine.
Thank you.
My name's David Ledford, 2730 Maiden Highway here in Lincolnton. Mr. Sullivan and Mr. Freeman asked me to draw up this plan for them for a deer processing facility over there on Startown Road. With that being said, you know, a lot of consideration was taken into the neighboring properties, especially the dance facility that is next door, with the type of use that's going to be there. With that being said, the front of the parcel that has the main building, we're going to show the front of the building and show the parking. The rest of the area would be screened by fencing, taller on the side closer to the dance facility, just a little bit shorter around the rest of it. And actually the fencing would go between the building along the front with the entryway towards the back. That the cooler was located in a strategic spot to actually screen the drop-off spaces that are in the rear. If you can see the note there, there's two of them behind the building. The processing and everything else is all enclosed in the structure itself, but there is a point at which there will be a drop-off by, you know, individuals, not mass type processing, but individuals here in the county that actually wind up, you know, bagging a deer is what it's called, I guess you'd say. But anyhow, they would be dropping that deer off at the back of the facility, not the front. All intake would be in the rear of the facility in that little nook there to help with the screening, you know, of that drop off. Dumpsters are there for any processing byproducts or anything else like that. Would be picked up on a regular basis. He has plans to, you know, any excess byproducts being put into bags, sealable bags, and put into the dumpster first. The drain situation that you were talking about, there is going to be like any other processing place where they squirt down the floors and clean up and everything else, just like they do at Harris, you know, like they do at Ingalls or whatever in the meat department. They always cut and clean down and do everything. All that water would be going into a septic tank system and probably a grease trap, you know, depending on the, you know, the county's inspection stuff and everything. Trying to think if there's anything else. All the vegetation that we can on the north side of the property close to the dance studio will remain. The only reason for the fencing to be on the rear of the property and onto the south of the property, so close to the property line, is just to be able to fit in the turnaround areas and everything for trucks and access to the rear of the property, and also the dumpster truck, and then the installation of the septic tank drain field. And they'll have to go through some stuff with the county as far as inspections, you know, for sanitation inspections and all that sort of thing.
I'm sure the city, the county, and the state are going to get their fingers in it somehow.
Yeah, they will. Yeah. So, but they're aware of that type of stuff already.
Is there a kind of an estimate of how many people might be using this facility? Is there?
Yeah, we'll let the applicants come. I mean,
well, there's 5 employees maximum that they have designated in the facility. You know, as far as drop off occasionally, you know, and that's why we have 9 spaces. You know, there possibly could be a time when those 2 spaces are full in the back. Somebody pulls to the front, waits to get to the back. We just didn't want to have people sitting out in the road.
Yeah, because there's a lot of traffic, and with the new housing coming down Startown, it's going to be where that kind of turns and comes into Reepsville.
I've done the dance studio years ago, and the envisionment of that when it came in was a real small place, but they have an overwhelming amount of visitors with children and stuff.
No parking.
And they have
right
now
on the street.
purchased the adjacent property to do that additional parking. But with the deer processing facility, you know, right now there's mowing times or whatever it is.
Spring and summer is going to be kind of slow, so it's
it's going to be a seasonal type thing, you know, for about 4 or 5 months. Yeah. So I don't know if y'all are aware of one up in Cherylville. It's beside the Blacks restaurant up there right next to it, and then there's
another
one
down
on
Salem
Salem
Church-
Road,
Salem Church Road, yeah.
and then there's one up close to the 321 Volunteer Fire Department up on the main highway, up there close.
All right.
Any other questions? Anything else?
No, my only concern is the traffic in that spot. And
Right.
So, and getting in and out. The dance studio, if you go past there are people parked right on the edge of the street, all kinds of hours.
I think with this one in particular, you know, he said the maximum of 5 employees, but I would think starting up, you know, and unless it just got overwhelming, you know, he's not going to have that many people in there processing deer that frequently. I wouldn't believe it'd probably be 2 or 3 people. He just wanted to have extra spaces so that he could get people in and off the road.
You know, hours of operation that you envision?
I mean, it's gonna be at least daylight, it would never start before that. You know, need to be daylight for somebody to bring it to us. I kinda wanted to elaborate a little bit on the people there.
Sure.
The dance studio gets pretty packed, but it's also because people hang out, at the dance studio. You know, some of those sessions are 30 minutes, hour and a half. For us, it's more gonna be, stop and drop kind of deal. The people that are there, they're not gonna be necessarily hanging out there. They're gonna pull in, they're gonna tell us what they want, you know, to be done with the deer, and you know, they're gonna roll out. So I don't really see, I see more of a revolving door than people necessarily hanging out.
Is there any concern of, blood on the road or anything? I don't think I don't think I've ever seen, had worry about thinking about that being a question, but you know, is that something at any point in time that?
In our staff review committee, which includes all the groups, nobody had any concerns about that. But those kind of things are taken care of through inspections.
Okay. That works. The other question is, I mean, why not extend the fence all the way up as far as you could, you know, even for like to block off the parking lot? And I will disclose this. My daughter goes to Glamorous. And I know exactly what you're talking about, and I can, you know, and while they didn't call you, I mean, like, I had people, when I dropped my daughter off on Thursday, were like, well, what's going on with this? And I told them, I was like, I can tell you what's been posted, and like, you know, come to the meeting, you know, and their concern, and even mine is, you know, is the children who are over there who are not exposed to, you know, hunting and don't understand, you know, like the butchering of meat, and seeing a dead animal that's like, you know, looking through the parking lot, and you know, someone's waiting there, you know, is there a chance for y'all to actually extend that fence just to block it off, you know, from them being able to see it? I don't know, Mr. Lover.
I think that there's a fence between.
But it goes to right here though. It only goes all the way up. It doesn't go all the way up past the parking lot. And I don't know, setback wise.
That was my choice. Basically, when fencing is done and you're trying to do stuff within it, you try to keep it as close as you can to the activity. Mm-hmm. You know, but as far as extending that fence, he had recommended that initially, but I told him, you know, it looked more like a compound if you brought it all the way to the front.
Well,
and you tried to, you
the
know,
unloading
block it
part is
completely.
within the fence.
I get it, but it's just so if it's busy and people are in the parking spots, right? Because I know they all run around in the parking lot, and someone looks over and they can see a dead deer. It's because there's certain kids that aren't exposed to it. That's really all it is.
I mean, if you walk through, if
Be in the back of the truck.
if you walk through,
My personal experience, when I drop mine off, I'm in and out in about 15 minutes.
Right.
Back of the truck, I go in, maybe on a hitch rack, which you would see going down the road anyhow. And, I mean, you're in and out. I mean, I
walk
drop
through
it
Ingles, they
off
got a
and
big
I'd say,
glass
here's what I
wall
want.
in front of
Yeah, I know.
I'm out of there.
you know.
But they're not butchering. I mean, you don't see the actual dead. I mean, that's.
Would there be a way to just make sure that the landscaping, if you don't bring the fence up, just make sure that the landscaping around that parking area, if there was somebody waiting, would be high enough?
That was actually something I was going to suggest, you know, maybe some tall lealands or something down that side up to the fence.
Right.
And, you know, and I'm actually a licensed contractor doing it with him. So, I mean, a lot of this stuff, you know, I deal with on a day in, day out basis. So whatever we got to do to make it appeasing, for everybody else, we're not trying to, cause any kids.
You don't want to
Yeah.
traumatize any
Yeah,
children.
I appreciate that. I mean, and for the dumpsters, I know this is only about a 5 months, 6 months, that of the year, like when you're really gonna be busy. Smell is a big thing. I mean, I mean, you said you're gonna bag it, and then how often is that your trash truck is gonna come? Do you have an idea for that yet, or?
They can come daily. They'll come as often as you want.
Well, I mean, it's your business. I mean, we're not going to sit here and dictate like it's going to come every day. I'm just asking you. Okay.
It is additional.
It's not a,
Yeah.
and it's
Yes.
not a standard dumpster service neither. It's more like
It's a biohazard.
biohazard
Okay.
service.
All right.
But it's going to go, the extra material from the deer is going to go into a bag. That bag will be sealable.
Okay.
That bag will go into the dumpster, which will also be sealable.
Great. I mean, I just don't want to see it get down the road and like you start getting complaints, from the dance studio and other, the people who are over there saying like, oh, the smell, and then like,
That was kind of his argument to Black's Grill in Cherryville. Drop Time Processing is literally 50 feet away from that restaurant, and that restaurant and processor have been working together for years.
That's fine.
And that's
Yeah.
a restaurant.
Right. Yeah, I know. But once you start dealing with people's, children, like little, and I mean, it's just, as soon as they smell it, they're going to know what's there, and then it just creates that. And I just want to make sure that you've got everything on your end.
My dad understand it. Both of us are parents as well.
Right.
He has little ones. Mine's a little older, but so we are very, I got grandkids. We're very, concerned about the kids and definitely wouldn't expose anybody's kid to anything they don't want them to. And the smell, like I said, it's if you ever go to any other deer processing, and just pull in the driveway, you don't smell nothing.
Right.
I mean, you could stand right next to it and you wouldn't smell it.
That's
I
great.
mean, most of the time, the ones I've seen, you go by and you wonder,
What's going on?
how are they in business? Because nothing's ever happening. You don't ever see anything. Because, it's not a,
Right.
it's not
It all
a,
happens inside, and that's
Right, it's
why.
not a-
The
yeah.
outside stuff is very quick. Like he said, you pull up, you high five, you drop it off,
Yeah.
you smile, you might get a picture, but then you're out of there. I mean, that's why you're paying the process,
Yeah.
because you don't want to deal with the deer.
Yeah, and this is fully enclosed, right? I mean, outside of the fence, it's not like it's an open air, gutting it right there and then it draining out. It's fully enclosed as well.
Correct.
Okay. Yeah, I mean, that's.
One quick question about the screening. When you're talking about screening the parking, is that on the north side of the parking lot or is that along the road too?
No, I'm just talking about the 7 parking spots down the north side where it comes up and it comes to the blue. Yeah, it just comes all the way up. Like I said, I also didn't know setback wise if that was, would that cause any problems on Gene's side, if that was a conditional part of it, if it had enough room to put that there. Because how many feet does it have to be, like a fence? Yeah,
On the property line.
it can be on the property line. Sorry, so there's no word there. Okay.
And we tried to put the extra 2 feet, that's why he noted earlier, 8 foot across that side and 6 foot everywhere else, and it's because Glamour sits up on a hill, just a little bit above. So we wanted to try to make sure to get that extra footage, 8 foot. So
Great. Yeah, I appreciate that.
If you're standing at the Glamour studio,
Yeah.
you would have to climb.
Right, and I mean, and some of the other thing is people being able to look in. If people are in your parking lot, just hanging out, like, looking in the window. That was another concern that they had. Even though I don't think there's a window on the back side. I think it's only on that front, like towards the road, and then on the other side of it. So I mean, that was some of the concerns. And if y'all are okay with it, I mean, extending the fence up, up to the side. I mean, I'll make sure that's not an undue, that burden for you, and understand where I'm coming from on it. Okay.
I'm building for a living, so I'm gonna be the one building it. So
I got you.
It's absolutely no problem to build the fence. I can build whatever fence.
Okay.
we need to do.
Well, I was just gonna say, is a vegetated fence okay if we want to make it look more appealing for the neighborhood?
like
Leland
Cypress.
There's certain distances from a right of way, and I don't know if the city of Lincoln has it, but a lot of them, there's a certain fence height back so far from the right of way before you can go up in height and everything else. But there's not really any requirements for vegetation in that respect. We could go all the way up to the right of way line with some kind of,
I guess what he's asking is what a vegetative screen do as opposed to a physical fence.
I mean, I guess one thing I sit there and say is a physical fence. You don't have to worry about it losing leaves and like being able to see through it at that point in time. It's just there,
Were those Leland's? Well, I may not be using the right.
No, I know what you're talking about. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, those don't actually lose the leaves. They take a lot of.
You just gotta worry about like that disease that climbs up and turns them brown and everything else.
Bagworms.
Yeah, the bagworms. Yeah. Trust me, I've been cutting trees. I guess what I've been doing. Dealing with that. Any other questions for the applicants? Okay. All right. Anything else y'all want to say before I close this and go to a board discussion only? You good? All right. Then I'll close the public hearing and go to public board discussion only. Discussion by board. Anything? No. All right. Then we will. Yeah, I mean, like I said,
I mean, I live on Startown.
Yes.
But you covered, what my concerns were, which were, being able to see and the possible smells and the traffic. I mean, traffic's unbelievable.
Right.
But
The traffic's, and particularly in that area, coming through, and at night it's difficult to see, and folks are parking right on the street at the dance studio.
And I know
That's
there was
why.
just cleared out so they can have a turnaround, like where people can actually get through instead of everybody being crunched up in that one area.
and that has helped.
Yes.
Yeah.
All right. If that is everything, what you got? You got a question?
No.
Okay. You look at it like
I
yeah.
was just concerned about her living there, and I guess it's not a problem.
I mean, that's why we ended up selling, and then we're just living in a rental right now until we find something further out in the county. Because as soon as all of the 300 houses were approved, we were like, we're done tapping out. We got to move somewhere else. So, I mean, if the traffic, if it's as little traffic as they say, I mean.
Yeah, I think Limerick's going to bring way more, at night. That's the. Hey, I mean, the good thing about it is it makes everybody slow down. Consider everybody trying to once they turn on it and just speed up the road, right? All right. If that is it, then I will close the public hearing. Entertain a motion for in favor or denial. Now, if we want to do something include the screening, we would have to say that staff recommendations with the inclusion of additional fencing.
And then when we go to city council, I'll let them know that your recommendation, what it was.
Okay. Do I have a motion?
I have a motion to approve with the additional fencing
And staff recommendations.
and staff recommendations.
I have a motion. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Motion is approved.
No, I vote no.
You can vote no?
Yeah.
Okay. We do have one up, sorry. All right. And we'll move to our last case of the evening, which is MJS-4-2023, major subdivision for Burris Acres located off Jerry Crump Road.
I need a minute to get Mark back to where he needs to be.
Okay.
Have y'all ever stayed at dark before, hey?
I think I might have been here a time or two.
This is a preliminary plat for a major subdivision located off of Jerry Crump Road. You can see Jerry Crump Road here. The area where the subdivision will be, I've got circled in red. This parcel here is approximately 7.86 acres of land that was cut out of a 23-acre parcel that included this house that's located here. And that was done for the purpose of creating a new subdivision of approximately 12 lots. It's located in the R15 district. This property is located on the Jerry Crump Road on the east side. It's approximately 700 feet north of the intersection of Jerry Crump Road and Saddle Tree Road, which I'll just go back. Saddle Tree is back here in this location, so it's about 700 feet from that intersection. The property is currently zoned R15. That means that the minimum lot size for any subdivided lot in that area has to be a minimum of 15,000 square feet. They are showing 12 lots, approximately a half acre plus. They will be doing one new city street named Burris Acres Drive, which will be cul-de-sac at the end. Any questions about the site location? Again, there's 12 lots total off of this newly created street, which will be taken over by the city. It will have sidewalks on both sides of Burris Acres Drive, and they don't show this, but we will require that they have sidewalks there along Jerry Crump Road also, along their portion of the subdivision. You can see here they will be required as part of the subdivision ordinance street trees, so there'll be street trees along the newly created street there. Here, let me go back one. All right, and they do show one little small open space area here in the darker gray, and they do show this area here as a retaining wall. That area of open space is approximately 8,000 square feet in size, but the retaining wall does not only encroach onto it, but also onto lot number 7. We did get some comments back from the staff review committee. I'll put those in front of you there. And I'll go over these quickly, but the utility plan that they submitted didn't meet the requirements of the city code and specifications, so they're going to have to work with the water resources director to get that up to code. I mentioned the sidewalks will be required along Jerry Crump Road. There will have to be a pre-construction meeting concerning street sidewalks, street tree plantings prior to construction. All the street trees must be planted according to the NCDOT guidelines. All Appendix D requirements of the city fire code must be met. Need complete measurements of each lot. Small portion of the flood hazard area is on lot 7. That needs to be shown on the plat. Approximate grades of streets, total linear footage of the streets need to be shown. The open space area and retaining wall must be maintained by the HOA. And the HOA agreement must be recorded at the Lincoln County Register of Deeds. The retaining wall needs to be constructed and then inspected, signed, and sealed by a professional engineer. And this was a recommendation of the staff review committee that it's preferred that the retaining wall be located in the open space area and that lot 7 be adjusted so that the entire retaining wall would be part of the homeowners association, not part of lot 7. That takes away the liability from the owner of that lot. Per the new city policy, trash rollouts must be purchased by the homeowner. Erosion control plans must be approved by Lincoln County. No sewer cleanouts, meter boxes shall be installed in the sidewalks, and a driveway permit is required from the City of Lincoln Public Services Department. And with that, it's our recommendation that we approve the subdivision plat with these conditions added to that condition, and they will be taken care of as far as staff. With this being a subdivision under 250 lots, you are the final approval. It does not go to City Council. So, with that being said, I'll be glad to answer any questions. We do recommend approval of it. I don't think the applicant's here, but we have had communications with them with these conditions.
What are the lot sizes of the houses around there, like especially off Saddle Tree? Is it all roughly about the same?
They're similar, yeah. They would, if you were creating a new lot in that area, it'd have to be 15,000 square feet, but I think they're actually much larger than that.
Okay. Yeah. So these are just
They're similar size.
Okay.
Yeah.
What size homes are they talking about putting in there?
I do not know, and that's something that we really can't require. I think he's proposing larger homes, but we don't have a minimum square footage requirement or anything like that. So as long as it meets the state building code, but I think his idea is to build
Similar
fairly
houses,
larger homes, similar to
homes that are in that area.
That's in that area, yeah.
Will it be city water, sewer?
City water, sewer, yep.
Be extended, okay.
All that will be available part of the subdivision.
It's already out, doesn't it? What's out there has.
Yeah, it's out there. They'll be able to connect. They're responsible for running the sewer water lines at their expense. So, and I will point out this is not a public hearing. We didn't send letters out to adjacent property owners. Subdivisions, if they meet the requirements, pretty much have to be approved The only thing you could do is if you wanted them to come back in 30 days with all these conditions met, you could do that. But if the subdivision meets the requirement, then, pretty much has to be approved.
So we could do a condition where they have to come back within 30 days and show they've met that.
If you wanted them to come back to you could just say we're going to postpone this for 30 days and you meet these requirements that I listed before. But you can approve it on the condition that staff take care and make sure these requirements are met. You could require them to update the plan and come back in 30 days and ask for approval. But you could also require that they meet the conditions and staff take care of it.
Assume they're gonna do their job.
It's public
And that's what
knowledge.
we typically do, is you just put it back in staff's hands. We make sure that they meet. We're not gonna let them construct it unless they meet the city standards, so.
Okay.
Could you go back to the map and I just want to look at lot 7. So that's where there's some
Lot 7 is
concern.
right here, and you can see this darker line extending out into Lot 7. That's the retaining wall. And we just feel it would be better if the open space area is moved down a little bit to incorporate this part of the subdivision and be part of the HOA instead of part on Lot 7.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
And then you said something about a floodplain?
Yeah, there's a small portion of the floodplain that's right here in this corner of Lot 7. It wouldn't affect anything. It just, for our purposes, it just needs to be shown so that the homeowner would know that when they record the plat. But it doesn't extend far enough onto Lot 7 for it to have any effect on the house.
Okay, thank
Do the
you.
neighbors that live in that area know that this is?
No.
They don't have any idea?
Well, I mean, some do, but we're not required to
Yeah, to
inform
tell
them.
them,
Yes,
yeah.
right.
I'll tell you that I talked to two of them that are over there. I said, "Hey, this is coming. Are y'all? Is somebody coming from y'all's neighborhood to talk about this? Do y'all have any concerns or anything?" And they had no idea.
They had no idea.
They didn't know. Well, I mean, they see like everybody. They see the sign, and they just didn't.
Well, there's no
realize.
sign for this because it's
Oh.
not a public hearing.
Oh,
It's
okay.
just, again, subdivision. It's permitted use if you can meet
Right.
the lot size requirements.
Okay.
Really,
If they
what
meet all
you're
that.
doing is making sure that they meet the city standards as far as roads, water, sewer, sidewalks, street trees, that type of thing.
Gotcha.
So, but if they meet minimum lot sizes and all that,
Right, and then
yeah.
so the next thing is just they meet those already. It's just meeting the requirements, from staff
Yeah.
that says, hey, this is our list, and
We would give them a list of conditions, and
Right.
staff would check them off as they get them ready, and they would
Gotcha.
have to have all that met prior to construction.
all right. If you're done, I will. I don't think there's anybody here to speak about this, right? Probably that represent that. Okay. All right, then we'll go into a discussion of the board only. Discussion
It
questions.
looks like they're meeting all the requirements that,
Mhm.
of a subdivision, and
Right.
our responsibility is to assure that, the way I understand it, so.
Correct. Yeah,
Okay.
I think it's just now, since they do already meet all the requirements, it's just making sure they do the other side of it and
And they'll take care of that.
right, yeah, I mean, that's the only thing we have really a question for on the board side of it is, do we want them to come back before us in 30 days? Or do we rather have, just hand it over to staff and say, here you go? I mean,
Something else on
I
that
think
agenda.
it's a staff's responsibility, and
that'll work.
we will let them do that.
Yes, sir. All right, then we will close the public hearing. I will entertain a motion for either approval or denial. If it is for approval, staff recommendations, and then for them to meet the, do we need to say anything with that, or should it just say staff recommendations?
Just staff recommendations.
Okay, I just want to make sure that we say the word,
You can just put the conditions of the staff review committee.
okay, conditions of staff review committee. All right, if you want to do for approval. Do you have a motion?
I make a motion to approve as per the staff review committee's recommendations being met.
Good with that?
Yeah, that's good.
All right, all in favor?
Aye.
It is passed. All right. Since there's no other business, I will ask for a motion for adjournment.
So moved.
We have a motion. All approved.
Aye.
All right. That is it for today. Until